Hey guys, Brian again, and just too many things to type. I wanted to talk to you just a little bit. Did a lot of reading and stuff yesterday and in my Bible studies, and I wanted to share with you something that, with all the panic and everything happening right now over the coronavirus, and I don't say that lightly. Let me give a timeout here. The coronavirus is a serious virus, but so is influenza A, so is influenza B, so is strep, so are all the other viruses that we have no battle for except for just grin and bear it and get through this sickness. And with all the panic right now, I think a lot of that is because of the amount of information we're receiving. And we are receiving so much information from so many sources and so many people canceling or sharing their opinions or doing all these things. What I think we need to do right now is stop and take a deep breath. Now, you may or may not believe in God, and I believe that we serve a big God, and He's a lot bigger than any of those viruses I listed and any of the thousands other that are created on this world. But what you need to do, no matter what you believe, is take a deep breath. Realize that you are hearing panic from everybody, and I understand it. It's not that I'm saying don't panic. It's not that I'm saying don't be concerned. But in reality, I have a family of 5. We don't go through 4 cases of toilet paper in 2 weeks. I promise. You don't need that much toilet paper, okay? You don't need to stock up on 24 cases of water for 2 weeks. It doesn't happen, okay? Your tap water is not suddenly contaminated if you live in most good areas, okay? The world is not coming down. Your power is not going to get shut off, presumably. Things like that. We need to stop the panic. The second thing we need to do, no matter what, as a country, wherever you are, is bring back a little bit of common sense. Coronavirus is something we are hearing a lot about, and I give you that. But how many times do we hear that somebody at the doctor's office was tested for strep throat? That's a virus. There's no cure. How many times do we hear that somebody was tested for influenza A or influenza B, which are both deadly to the same groups of people as coronavirus? By the way, you don't hear of those names very often because we call them the flu. We're used to it. Coronavirus is going to become another one of those that they test for on a regular basis. Now, if your school or your work or your job, things of that nature, have somebody that was infected, yes, measures need to be taken to clean and disinfect the workplace. That person should probably not come in until the symptoms have gone away and they are better. Doesn't that apply to anything? Don't we tell our kids, don't go to school if you're sick because you don't want to get your classmates sick? Don't we have little signs up at our church nurseries that say, if your child is ill, please don't bring them into the classroom. We don't want to spread that. This is normal. This is common sense. You need to take a deep breath. We need to calm down, and we need to go back to common sense. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, and I want to bring to people's attention, is these major happenings, cancellation of events, cancellation of gatherings of all shapes and sizes, and they're being done by the state level, mayors, governors, or all these people are doing these closings. It's not because of the virus, I don't think. I'm not in their office, I don't know that, but I have a theory. It's because our lawsuit happy world. And it's not because the people who make the lawsuits. It's because the lawsuits happen. And because the lawsuits go through. Let me explain. If I go to an event, I'm a healthy person, but somebody sitting next to me is sick with any virus, okay? I'm not gonna say corona, I'm not gonna say it's the flu, with anything. They get me sick. So far, who's responsible for getting me sick? That person, right? You're with me so far? Now let's go to that event and they get the 20 people sick that sit around them, or the 50 people sick that they interact with while they're walking around the venue. Who's responsible for getting those people sick? That person. It doesn't change. Here's where the problem lies. That person, presumably, doesn't have any money when it comes to the real world. So when we go talk to a lawyer and say, I want somebody responsible, the lawyer says, well, that person doesn't have any money. That's a civil suit. That's little. Let's go deal with that later. However, that venue, that place, that concert, that event, that Disneyland, which by the way is closed in California right now. Think about that. They share the responsibility. Now, do I agree with this? Not in a million years. Do I see it happening in this world? Every day. And that's why places are closing. And I don't blame them. I don't blame Disneyland. I don't blame concerts for closing. I don't blame churches for closing, because unfortunately, in this world, we find the money and sue that person. Think about it. How many people are suing major airline companies over a fault of the airplane? Or how many people sue, you're going to hate me, people are going to hate me, I'm going to get comments, but how many people sue the gun maker for murder? It's where the money is. That's what people are doing. And that's why I say we need to bring back common sense. We need to stop allowing this. If we continue to allow our society to track the money and sue at that level, this panic will happen every time. This fear will happen every time. Your schools don't announce when a child was tested for flu. Well, actually they do for flu and they do for lice and strep. That's part of privacy laws, but what they're allowed to share. But your doctors don't. So if they share it and their school tells you it was in your child's classroom, I want to give you a little bit of information. That actually is disclosed by the parents. That is not disclosed by the doctor. Can't be. But either way, we don't have this mass hysteria over that, and it's the same thing. It's a virus. So think about that as you think about what your actions are toward this virus. Yes, wash your hands, scrub them. The 20-second rule is a great one. You know, surgeons and stuff preparing for surgery scrub for a while. I used to know this when I was in EMT work and stuff. I think it's like 2 minutes. And it feels weird sitting there scrubbing your hands that long. But if you're that worried about it, go for it. But realize it's not just this coronavirus that's causing this. It's the world and society in which we've come to live. So to those of you that have to cancel events, I get it. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but I get it. It's because you don't want to be sued. I totally understand. But I want you to consider something for me. Before you cancel an event or before you close your business or your church or your school, I want you to think about everybody that affects. Our family is one that is affected if schools close. And not just because our kids come home. I want you to think about, and let's take the example of up in Washington State. In Washington State, there are numerous counties that have closed their schools for over a month. If you don't believe me, Google it. It's on the news. I believe it's 7 counties. I don't know that number for certain. But these schools have closed for over a month, till April 24th or something like that. Those schools, teachers, probably on contract, probably won't affect them all that much. However, I want you to think about everybody else that's affected. Let's start with the adults. All of the janitors, all of the aides, all of the teachers' assistants possibly, maybe interns that are doing their internships and teaching assignments that they have to do as they're working toward their degree. All of those people, not salary. More than likely, all of those people will be affected. Let's take it another step down. In that school, let's say 40%, maybe 50% of the kids are on free and reduced lunch because their family doesn't have the income. So now all of those kids are at home. All of those kids are eating food. All of those parents have to buy more food for over a month's worth of lunches that they weren't planning on. Think about that. Think about the effect of what you have. A single one-night event is not nearly as big as a school. A single one-night event has the same effect, though. There are people relying on that job. If you're afraid to travel, my own family is affected because one of them owns a travel business. People are afraid to travel right now. He has gone on a little bit tougher times. They've had to tighten the belts. They've had to talk to their employees about things that are happening. Think about everybody you affect when you make that decision to close or to cancel. And I understand the liability. I get it. I understand you don't want to be sued. I don't either. But remember, when the government says they're going to help people financially that are affected, how far does that go? I don't think the parents on free and reduced lunch are going to get a part of that economic bailout. I really don't think so. I think they think affected is infected. What about the rest of us? Just things to consider, guys. I'm just pleading with you, really. The coronavirus is real. I get it. I understand it's dangerous. I get it. So is the flu. so is strep throat, so is every other virus that's out there that we don't have the national media broadcasting every time somebody in your city gets tested, not positive, tested. They are disclosing every time that happens, and I think that's causing the fear. By the way, if anybody knows the statistic, I'd like to know what the amount of false positives are for this test. There is always a number of false positives. I can't find it. I've Googled it. I've looked online. If anybody knows, please stick it in the comments below. Let me know. Because it's something that we also should be publicizing. How many of those tested are coming back as false positives? Anyway, I've taken way too much of your time today. I've got some stuff I've got to get to myself. So I hope you have a blessed day. Just remember, we serve a big God. I promise. He's bigger than a virus. And if you don't believe in God, maybe this is your time to take a look and just find out who the real Jesus Christ is. Because he's bigger than any virus. He is bigger than any toilet paper need and panic at the grocery store. And just know he's got it, guys. He's got this whole thing figured out. And he's already discovered exactly what we need. All right? So I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you have a blessed week. Our kids are going into spring break this week, so hopefully things go well for you as well. God bless, enjoy, and it looks like springtime is here, so hopefully you're not like me and suffering with allergies because everybody thinks I have corona again. Have a good one, guys. God bless.